Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to Poets and Quants' online MBA Student Perspective panel. Today, we're joined by current students and alumni from Texas A&M Mays, Florida Warrington, and Kennesaw State. I'm your host, Christy Blyzeffer, and please feel free to use the Q&A function to submit any questions you have for our panelists, and I'll do my best to get to those at the end of the session. Well, thank you all for joining us and taking the time today. And maybe we'll start by getting to know each of you a little bit more. If you tell us your name, job, your MBA program, and one fun fact about yourself. And Wesley, we'll start with you.
Hey, thank you for having me. Hey, everyone. My name's Wesley Tippins. I'm 53, and I point that out simply because I might be more of a non-traditional MBA degree-seeking student that you come across. But I graduated from Kennesaw State University in 2000 with a degree in a BS in political science. I spent 20 years with the City of Atlanta Police Department, where I retired as a sergeant. Since then, I've began a second career with General Motors, where I'm the government account executive for them in the Southeast region. I represent their automotive portfolio to state agencies and other municipalities in the Southeast region. A fun fact about myself, I went to Berklee College of Music many, many years ago and spent a summer playing drums all summer with people from around the world. And I still find time and carve out some time for myself to play drums in my free time.
Wow, you've had quite a fascinating career trajectory. That's great. Thanks for joining us. And Diego, how about you?
Hi everyone, my name is Diego Matayoshi. I am a senior manager in the global PPI business system at Thermo Fisher Scientific. I've been working in the biopharma industry for over 11 years, primarily in the viral vector development and manufacturing, and also gene therapy. Currently, I'm working remote for Thermo Fisher, but this week I'm in St. Louis, Missouri, helping on site some collaborative efforts with the team. I am a current student with the online MBA at the University of Florida. And a fun fact about me is I like to kick things. I am a coach for Taekwondo, and I'm also a very active soccer player in the Gainesville Regional League where I live.
I love that you like to kick things. That's a good description. And Jason, how about you?
Howdy, thanks for having me. And I just want to say happy Veterans Day to everybody out there. Thanks for everybody who's out and served and all that. So just want to put that out there. But my name is Jason Holland. I live in Conroe, Texas. I, with my wife and my two kids, 11 and 9 years old, got my undergraduate degree from West Texas A&M in 2008 in marketing and mass communications. Then pursued a career in the petroleum industry. Where now I'm actually been the senior sales manager for a heavy manufacturing shop, Watco Tanks Inc., for the past 7 years. And one great thing about me is that I'm an adventurous outdoors. I love to run marathons, I love 5Ks. I love to do different kinds of Spartan races, events like that. It's just this, it's just so many elements at once that I just find it it's a blast. And I've been doing that the past couple of years, and it's been, I don't know, it's just really fun.
Well, that is a fact that I'm always very interested to hear about people that I can't understand long running. Good for you. So,
it comes with challenges, that's for sure, but it's
yeah. Well, Diego, let's just start with, kind of diving a little bit deeper into that online MBA experience at Warrington. Talk us through kind of your thought process and what made you decide that you wanted an online MBA. Did you consider like any full-time or other part-time programs? And what were the key factors that led you to Warrington?
Yeah, absolutely. I always been interested in bridging the technical side of the biotech with the business and strategic approaches. And at the time when I was working in Gainesville for Thermo Fisher at the University of Florida, is 15 minutes away from me. So there was a lot of advertisement, a lot of people coming in out of it. So there was very, very strong presence in there. I looked into several programs, and while I did consider more specialized degrees, I was at a point where I had to balance what are my future development opportunities within my company and also the flexibility of the program that I was going to attend. I believe my site was just one of the many sites that my company has. And many times I was being asked to travel to collaborate with the other sites. So that would jeopardize if I had to be attending classes during the weekday or the weekends. So that's what kind of like why I went with the online degree. But in particular, had a strong reputation, very tough challenges when it comes to classes, a lot of good people that are in the cohort, and I really felt that I aligned with all my goals. It was a good mixture of academic rigor and also practical real world learnings that I could apply immediately into my role.
Yeah, absolutely. That application is so important with the online MBA. Jason, tell me about your journey back to Texas A&M Mays then.
Yeah, so the journey with Texas A&M online flex program. So there's never a right time to say I'm ready to go get my master's, I don't think. Honestly, it's more like life telling you this is what you should do. I don't know. It was odd. I found myself after 40. I turned 40 last year, and I several months later just kind of felt complacent. Like I didn't have a purpose. I had no direction. I was kind of just sort of going through the motions almost, and I wasn't being challenged enough. And you know, when we're younger and we have this mental perspective of going and getting your master's degree, it's all kind of just for thought. You don't really put the actions into motion because you all of a sudden get busy with work or whatever else, and then it just kind of gets pushed away, pushed away, pushed away. Well, I kind of felt like I've done that as well, and I finally got to the point to where I feel like for the first time I'm in charge of, or I'm the one telling where my life is going versus somebody else telling me, hey, do this, do that. And so I think from a mental aspect, once I found out that A&M was offering a flex online program, and it made being able to do the work-life balance and the symmetry that was there and the credibility from A&M is just unfathomable. So for me, it really just made sense. And so starting in with that, it's been wonderful since.
Absolutely. And Wesley, how about your online MBA journey?
You know, as Jason mentioned, it was it kind of boils down to lifelong learning, right? And you know, as I mentioned, my degree's from Kennesaw State University in political science, and I didn't have any kind of business background whatsoever, so I really kind of dived off the deep end into the MBA world. But since the beginning, you know, my second career with General Motors and starting, I decided that, you know, I wanted to continue to pursue, you know, additional roles within the company. Obviously, an MBA can help with that tremendously when it comes to understanding the corporate culture and, you know, even the corporate language that might make you kind of cringe sometimes. But, you know, I can already see it helping, you know, through my thought process and how I conduct my day-to-day business and how I interact with clients and customers. That, you know, I did not really consider, you know, other advanced degrees outside of the MBA. You know, being a former Kennesaw student, I wanted to come back to my alma mater and, you know, and get my MBA through them. And the online MBA program was that flexibility too, but it, you know, it condenses it into, you know, 2 courses for 5 semesters. So a total of 2 courses over 5 consecutive semesters. So, you know, within 22 months, I mean, you know, you have your MBA. And,
Yeah.
you know, and it's, you know, an MBA is recommended in just about any higher level position that I'm looking at within the company. They like you to have that MBA. And, you know, if I look at going through that with GM or possibly beyond.
Yeah, absolutely. And I had a conversation earlier that with a career official at Kennesaw, and they're celebrating their 25th anniversary in the online MBA program. So
Oh, yeah.
there's a lot of expertise there.
Yeah, they had the largest sign up this last semester. So it was the largest group that they've had at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Jason, tell me a little bit more about the learning experience so far at Texas A&M, the flexibility, the course load, emphasis on group work or individual. What have you experienced so far?
Yeah, man, it's chaos in motion when it all starts. I'll put it that way. It's you know, you never know what to expect coming into these, but the flexibility, it is just that, it's flexible, and that is one of the best contributing factors to the program. However, I think it's also to one of the more procrastinating factors added to the program. Because we're so flexible, we tend to just kind of we can push it off, push it off, push it off. So it's so pivotal, I think, in to have the success and really entertain the knowledge that's being given to us from the faculty and from the administration and the courses is being able to fully process it. And I think it's just being organized, being there, being attentive, and making sure that you're putting in the information to real world applications.
Yeah.
That's a hard disconnect, I think, where the younger groups that maybe just came out of their undergraduates, they haven't quite yet the industry experience to apply some of the materials. So it's up to the older, more experienced people to kind of help put things in perspective. And so it's a cumulative effort, and it is a group effort. You go in solo, not sure how to perceive this course, and you come out with a team of people that are just willing to help you, back you, do whatever you need to in order to succeed. So it starts out, and then you just kind of grow that network and work together, and I find it incredibly valuable.
So that's interesting. Are you do you think that you're getting a lot of chance to interact with, you know, your cohort or your classmates, even though maybe you're not in a physical room with them?
Yeah, this would be my first since getting my undergrad. This would be my first fully online program, or I guess college that I've attended. But I think it is really, really important to be able to actually know. I'm sorry, I'm going to reverse that a little bit.
Go for it.
I think getting involved is the best way. So I think if trying to balance the workload with the information there, but Texas A&M made it so fundamentally technical with their website that they developed and the programs and the resources and the material that was given to us that it really, there's no way to not get all the information or not inherent all the material that's being perceived from the professors. But we had a class of 200 this year. So it's a really big group. And so going back to being in the cohort session, being flex is difficult, but you learn to get into a rhythm. You learn to be more playful with it and not so guarded, I guess you could say, and interaction. And I think that's the key to the whole process, is just being able to interact. And through Zoom and everything online, they do make it really easy.
Yeah. Wesley, what's that learning experience like at Kennesaw in the online?
Yeah, so we do have the cohort system. So like I mentioned, it's 5 consecutive quarters and 2 courses assigned each semester. So you don't choose the courses because it's kind of laid out in a certain plan that they have for you. They kind of build on one another from semester to semester. And so there is a fair amount of group work that goes along with your individual studies. But we're all working, on the same content at the same time. We can really rely on each other if we're having trouble in a particular area. I think they really look at, the strengths and weaknesses of the individuals within it and try to pair you with people that might bring something else to the table that maybe you're lacking in. So our group, are total of 6 people. We meet at least once a week, for 2 or 3 hours every night. Sometimes we'll add on an additional meeting in the evening that works, because a lot of us work during the weekdays and whatnot. So our focus when we get together, in these group assignments, depending upon everybody's different, right? Everybody has different personalities, and some are more dominant, some are more shy than others. And it's kind of up to us to make sure that everybody has a voice, that everybody can speak their mind. We want to make sure that they can contribute to it. So it builds this kind of camaraderie amongst us in our cohort. We have an accountant, we have an engineer, we have somebody in the healthcare industry, somebody that works for AT&T, somebody else that is in sports entertainment. So it's people that, they all have different personalities, different viewpoints. And it's funny, our paths wouldn't have crossed otherwise. We're all better for it. And I love it.
Well, absolutely. Like, it's so important these days to be able to work with different functions, even in an organization. So that's got to be very valuable.
Yeah.
Diego, how about the learning experience at Warrington?
It's fantastic. I think I like to resonate with everything that has been said before. The online program itself is very flexible, and that's essential because then you can balance life and studies. The course load can be challenging, but it's manageable. And my favorite part is really the connections and the people that you make. You get humbled very quickly when you find a professional in your team that they do that for a living, and you just learn so much outside of the lectures, outside of what the professor is talking about. Just having a real professional, giving you hints, explain things to you, it makes a big difference. So it really broadens your perspective, your understanding, and also all of these connections that you're making by working with them, because you may not be able to contribute too much for this course because you have an expert, but next semester there's a class where you can actually pull in a lot more of your weight. So I think, particularly myself, I've been blessed with a wonderful group. I really love everybody in that team. We work really well together. We meet at certain cadence, but life happens. Everybody has commitments too, but I think everybody now is very responsible, and we all often produce really good work. So
Yeah.
I would say just fantastic.
Yeah, I think it's a great point that you're in an MBA, you are learning from your professors, but you're also learning from each other because you're all coming from, such wide variety of industries and experience.
Yeah.
That's great. So I think, you've all at least once maybe mentioned work-life balance. So maybe we can help prospective students by what advice you have or what's worked for you in balancing, your career, your families, your coursework. Wesley, we'll start with you. What advice for managing it all?
You're gonna hear the phrase time management a lot for the next couple of years, right?
Yeah.
So I don't have a family per se other than 2 dogs and a cat.
Okay.
So I manage that.
That's important.
So, but the biggest hurdle for me is, my current job situation. There's a good deal of travel, there's online meetings, visiting customers and of course other things that just pop up that were unexpected. But what I've had to do is be dedicated and set aside time in the evening, when I will do my schoolwork. It's essentially like you have to have the mentality of, having a second job and like punching the clock and going, okay, I can't watch this show tonight. I have this paper to do. I have this research I need to do. I got to put that on the back burner, right? Because you got other responsibilities. Generally in our system, we have a couple of weeks to do some work. And depending upon your what you need to do personally or professionally, you can knock it out as much as you can for the individual projects up front. Maybe you need to chip away at it over a 2-week period. So it's there are due dates and things such as that, but you do have time over that 2-week period to kind of get the work done. It certainly really depends upon your own professional workload and personal time that you need to take for yourself, though. But time management is going to be something that you're really going to have to work on to make sure that you don't want to you can't procrastinate in a lot of this stuff. You've really got to do little by little, or you'll get way behind.
Yeah, absolutely. Diego, what has worked for you in terms of balancing it all?
Definitely for prospective students, it's not easy, but you can definitely do it. When you're looking at balancing work and life, my biggest tip is prioritize and communicate. And by communicate, you need to learn how to say no, and say no a lot of times. Like Wesley was mentioning, watching the show, watching a game, no.
Yes.
You have to prioritize the things that you need to do for the program. You cannot come into a meeting with your group with empty hands. You need to do some work ahead of time. So you get better at switching gears between work and study and also life. It's really just about finding the rhythm that works for you. Some people prefer the night. I one of those. I like to do all my work at night when it's quiet at home. But yeah, I think as long as you can prioritize and communicate with your family, you should be fine.
Yeah, I think that's a prioritization is a life skill we could all learn. Jason, particularly with your young family, how are you balancing family, work, and school?
Yeah, what was I thinking? No, it really it's trial by fire. You can't predict. You just can't do it, and it's one of those things you just got to get it in motion. And then once you get in motion, it just kind of sorts to start finding its own rhythm to it. But it's both. Wesley and Diego mentioned both of them: time management and prioritizing. You soon start to in my task at being a sales manager, I deal with 60 to 80 different personalities on a daily basis that are calling me for my direct customers. And so my level of emotions is moving somewhat fluidly and being able to communicate effectively with my entire different personalities that I have to work with. So that little tidbit really helped in the group's discussions and helped diving into the way that people are, because if anything, no one person's the same. Everybody is different, and finding a connection between each one of those individuals can be challenging. But luckily, the Flex Online program with A&M, they started us out with leadership and project management, and those two courses, hands down, were just spot on the necessary building blocks for your MBA program. So I give hats off to Dr. Bowser and to Dr. Sanchez from our A&M courses that gave us for our first 8-week session. One of the books, the Leadership 5.0, has just, anyways, I'm getting off task. I can do that, but the work-life balance, it does. You start to delegate tasks at work. You give assignments to other people that normally you wouldn't do on an occasional basis, just to say, I need to lighten the load a little bit. And so you'll find yourself delegating. And then with the home, it's communication. You know, when you got the baseball practice, and then right after that cheer practice, and then what's for dinner, you know, all the time. Yeah. So you try to just get a game plan, and then trust your other half is doing what they can do to support you, and that they are. And that everybody's there to support you. So ask for help. And that's the great thing too, that anybody and everybody is so willing. Like if you can't get a hold of your professor or anybody in your whole Flex program is a very helpful, and anybody seems willing to help. So always ask.
Great advice. Thank you. Diego, back to you. You know, I think that a lot of times MBAs are looking for, you know, they're going in looking, you know, for a specific role, industry, you know, really career-oriented kind of goals. And they don't think as much about, you know, the kind of personal and leadership development a business school can provide. Tell us about what some of those tangible and intangible personal and soft skills that you know, the Warrington Business School has provided to you.
Absolutely. I think without having even graduated, just the moment you finish a course or the moment you learn about a topic and you bring it back to work, you see a lot of tangible skills in the accounting side, finance side, the strategy, operations management. You are immediately challenging some of those topics at work. And it is something that it happens in me. It's incredible. There on the intangible side, the way that I make decisions based on things that I learned about organizational behavior, leadership, it really made a difference. You can definitely tell. You can talk about me before and after these classes. For me, these tangible and intangible skills have made this return of the investment for the degree huge, because it helps me become a better leader, and also being able to have the ability to participate in any conversation that we had around the business of my industry. So I think the program touches on everything enough for me to be very well informed and be able to make practical utilization of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Jason, same question. What kind of that personal, intangible development have you seen so far?
Yeah, it's crazy the mindset you have before going into the program of what your expectations are. And then once you get into the mix, it just kind of starts to slowly unravel a little bit, and your path slowly might start to pivot a little. And I think that's the beauty of the program, is that it is going to meet or exceed your expectations regardless. And pivoting is not a bad thing if that's something that you weren't expecting to do or something that you didn't think of, because what's happening is your inner goals and what you actually really want to do is starting to come to life, and you're figuring out what you really want out of everything that you've worked so hard to get to, which I think is so organically beautiful about the whole master's program itself, is that it really just provokes thought. It really allows you to expand your knowledge if you're willing. I mean, if you're willing to just, you know, peel back the layers a little bit and dissect some of the information. Like mine was just perfect timing. I have to just say it, because everything that I was learning through accounting currently, through predictive analytics right now, which that's a whole nother level of matrix style. I mean, coding, futuristic, great stuff. But I mean, that's where our future's headed. But and into leadership and project management, these courses have just been a mind-opening experience because all of them cognitively, behaviorally, and then techie, and then financy, so you get these culminations all bundled up right quick, and before you know it, your brain is off and running. So the skills are just non-comparable.
Very good. Thank you. Wesley, how about you?
Yeah, personally, for me, it's been an increased level of confidence, which I wasn't, I'm in the early stages of the program. So I just finished our first semester, but, in certain situations, it's really pushed me. And, I know colleagues that do have an MBA and just after a short time in the program, you can kind of tell that they do. It's subtle, but you can hear from the way that they discuss certain scenarios or projects that we need done. You can sense in the way that they formulated their plan and how we're going to implement it that they're relying upon their MBA, and it's a nice feeling to have, to be able to say, I get where you're coming from now. I understand that theory or that process and how you got there. It's truly a level of confidence that I wasn't really expecting. I don't think that can be overlooked.
Yeah, that's interesting. That confidence is, to be in the room and understand the language, that's huge.
Exactly.
Yeah, thank you for that. Jason, I know you're maybe kind of early in the program still, but so far, like, what have you think, maybe if you're talking about those kinds of hallmark experiences so far, things that you'll really remember or that you think will have the greatest impact? What are your big takeaways so far?
Oh man, I think etiquette, enlightenment, perspective. A lot of these are characteristics that aren't necessarily originally thought of when you're going to get your master's. You would never consider the word etiquette, but then all of a sudden, as you progress through the business side of school, you inherit the business personality and the business demeanor and the way that you kind of actually want to be reflected not only in school, but also in your society. So in our little area, in my little group where I live, my little neighborhood, all of a sudden I'm not just this, I'm not just the neighbor down the road. I'm the educated guy I'm the guy that actually, oh wait, no, that guy got his master's, and it's not that I'm not being boastful. That's not the case. The case is just that it kind of makes you a little bit separated, almost a little bit, because you've gone and you've decided to take the hard road, which is to go get your master's. And it's a hard road. It is not easy. Trust me, this content and the coursework that we're doing it is incredibly taxing. I spend probably 10 to 12 hours a week. I mean, just literally organizing homework and paperwork. So you got to put the effort in. That is no doubt. But it does teach you discipline, teaches you etiquette and perspective that you wouldn't otherwise normally think of.
Yeah, absolutely. Wesley, what about you? I know you're also early in the program, but what so far, the big takeaways?
I've always been fascinated and coming from a military, law enforcement background. I've always been interested in leadership and learning what I can and more about leadership. And I think an MBA and leadership go hand in hand. And there was a course, organizational behavior, that we just finished. And I know you hear that initially and you might think, oh, that sounds wonderful, fascinating, organizational behavior. But it's a course that's not going to help me professionally, but personally, in my professional development, but personally as well. It really dives a lot deeper into just hierarchies. It really talks a lot about leadership and emotional intelligence and different personalities and people that you deal with. And it kind of goes back to what Jason talks about. Everybody, lots of people, we're all different, right? And I'm sure we've all had managers and bosses at some point that would give you directions but you disagree. Maybe you wouldn't follow them because they were just barking out orders, right? But you want to be a leader and that people can trust and will follow, not just because it's their job, but because they want to. And that's something that I want to keep working on. And I think this course, this will be some content that I think I'm always going to go back to and want to continue to to research and read as much as I can about just overall leadership and motivation. I think that's important.
Yeah. Have you noticed yourself thinking about it at work, some of the content from that course already?
Oh
And
yeah.
like, yeah, and
No, I
apply.
mean, it really goes across the board. It's something that it goes back to the confidence level too, right? I mean, because leadership, motivation, and people pick up on that. And like I said, it could be subtle, but I mean, it could be small things that you make changes in your life, or even just telling somebody that you're going for an MBA, and they kind of thinking, well, man, he made the time, he made that tough decision to go for that, and here I am, just not
Yeah.
doing it, but he made that decision to do it. So I think you can really affect a lot of people, maybe even unknowingly, because they can pick up on that from you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Diego, how about you? Do you have any hallmark kind of experiences yet?
Yes, so I very close to graduation. I think I'll graduate in April. I was part of the global immersion experience.
Great.
We went to Vietnam, and we learned a lot about the businesses in there, and it was amazing. I don't want to. I want to be able to answer your question without talking too much about Vietnam. Uh, the amount of connections, the amount of people that we met, and the way my personal network expanded, uh, for me, that's one of the biggest takeaway. I think just getting to work with so many people from so diverse backgrounds just put me at a different level of performance. I have, like Wesley was saying, confidence now to speak to anyone
Yeah.
and to work with everybody and get the job done, and also and to do it not by dragging, but really actually performing really well.
Yeah.
All of that new perspective and connections with the classmates, I think that's something that's going to stay with me long after graduation.
Yeah, yeah. I do the students who get to take those global immersions or domestic immersions or any kind of thing like that. I think those are definitely hallmark experiences that you just wouldn't get anywhere. You would never be in Vietnam learning about all the different business opportunities without this kind of program. So thank you for that. And then going back to Wesley, what would you say is your biggest piece of advice to someone who's considering maybe taking the plunge and getting an online MBA in general and at Kennesaw in particular?
Yeah. I mean, quite simply, just commit to it. There's always going to be there's things coming up. You're never going to have enough time. So I mean, there's never going to be the perfect time. So I'm waiting for this. I'm waiting for that. There's things, the stars aren't going to align and open up and just be a perfect time for you to commit to get into your MBA. So you have to have the mentality, as the other guys have mentioned. It is tough. You're going to have to commit to it for a period of time. It may take away from other things that you want to do, but the payoff is so much more than the things that you're going to have to put on the back burner for a time. I mean, so stop waiting around and choose the right program, that best suits you. But, here at Kennesaw State, I think it's just been simply fantastic for me. We had a 2-day, orientation meeting where for everyone around the country that signed up for the program came and met personally. Before we kicked off the program, we got to meet all of our members in our cohort face to face, got to talk with them, have lunch, over a 2-day period. So, they're here to support you. They encourage you. They're very communicative. It makes you feel as though your success really matters to them, and they're always there for you.
Absolutely, that's great. Thank you. Diego, how about at your school?
Um, no, yes, resonating with the commitment portion. It's a significant amount of energy and time. So you need to know that you need to have a clear understanding of why you're doing it, and what you want to get out of it. Other than that, it's going to be quite difficult for you to justify all the sacrifices that you will make. And yes, I mean, reach out. I think, particularly in Warrington, there's a lot of people dedicated to your success. Um, take all the opportunities that are available, whether it is just on-site residencies, meet and greets. There are going to be a lot, and I think just expanding that network, being part of it is going to make a big difference on the results that you get. You can do all the classes and quizzes and homeworks and graduate, but that's not the whole experience. take all the opportunities that you can take in and really work on that commitment and that network. And I think that will make it very successful.
Thank you so much, Diego. And Jason, last word to you. Any advice for people considering, taking the plunge, and any, advice about people considering Texas?
Absolutely. I completely would say that embrace it fully. Say you're going into it, remove expectations and be there to learn and participate. But it's also trust the program itself, trust the academia that's put in place, and trust the professors that are there to doing their job. You're going to learn new things, and it's okay to learn new things. That's what you're there for. So we're going through predictive analytics right now. No clue of any of the expectations going into it whatsoever, and found out that I am not a master coder. Right off the, I mean, it takes really a lot of time to figure out how to work our program. So it was hard. It's challenging. A lot of people saw defeat immediately just because of the technicalities. But once you start working through it, you start to get the arithmetics, and you start to do it. And all of a sudden you're writing code, and you're like, this is a brand new market, brand new world. This is amazing. And then you figure out that you can predict my forecast of when I should be buying my raw materials for carbon steel at what price point, and it can project this for me, and I can apply this directly to my business. And I mean, that's a whole new dynamics of a program we're talking about. So it vastly opened up my mind to the scalability of where I can take our company to the future. So just that alone, literally was just, it was just like right timing, and the programs are hitting just in stride. So, I couldn't mimic it better. Just at Texas A&M, hats off to Aggies. We're doing it.
Yeah.
Everybody's welcome.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much. I know how busy you all are with your school, your lives, and for you to sit down and tell prospective students, what it's actually like to study at an online MBA is really valuable. And I also want to thank all our viewers out there. We've got a lot of panels from other schools offering their perspective, so be sure to check those out. You can go to our YouTube page to find those, or tune in tomorrow for a lot more. And as always, go to poetsandquants.com, where you'll find, more student perspective, online deep dives about these online programs and what they offer. And until next time, thank you so much for listening.